All right, we are live on YouTube now. I want to welcome everyone from the committee. I want to wish everyone a happy new year. Welcome back to everyone. I want to say that the word for this session and for everything with the committee is some patience. There's been a lot of time spent by our staff, particularly Sarah, also with the help of Pat and Haley. So there are a lot of details, a lot of things behind the scenes from OIS and everyone else, and a lot of things we've been working through. So please bear with us as we try to work all this out and we move forward. So if you have any ideas after this meeting, certainly let us know. First, want to just say Happy New Year to everyone. Certainly an odd year that we had last year as I welcomed everyone back. If people did not see the changes in the committee or the speaker's press release from the other day, Delegate Janelle Wilkins is taking over as our election law subcommittee chair. Congratulations, Delegate Wilkins. We all think you'll do a great job. She, of course, is replacing Delegate Mosby, who, of course, was elected as a council president in the city of Baltimore. And congratulations to him. We also have a new member on the committee, Delegate Dahlia Attar from the city of Baltimore. She's joining us from Environment and Transportation and really glad to be here. So, and we're glad to have her. So for everyone who's not as familiar with her, everyone certainly has a chance through Zoom or phone calls to connect. So I hope you all get a chance to meet our new delegate. Everyone was emailed a packet earlier today. So let me actually share my screen and see how this best works. Go. Everyone received an agenda earlier today, viewing more people trying to come in. There's Delegate Branch. And just for today's organizational meeting, not much is different. Just a brief discussion on major issues. This shouldn't be too much of a surprise, and certainly subcommittee chairs have anything to add after I'm done, please certainly mention it. In the case of education issues, there's been a lot, certainly with the Kerwin bill that we passed last year that was vetoed. Whether there's a veto override or not, there will also likely be legislation to fix some of the dates and to maybe move some things faster, like tutoring for students and so forth. So pay attention to that. And it's obvious to all of us how our students have really struggled with virtual learning this past year, many of them. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of legislation in regards to that. And along with economic matters and really some other committees, the issue of broadband access. That too became a big issue this past year, not just rural broadband, but inner city and really access to laptops and tablets and so forth. So that's a big issue, of course. In the areas of revenues, as always, trying to look at the tax burden on our working families, also from the Federal CARES Act, and if there's any other federal money coming. So there's some impacts related to that. I also expect there to be a lot of bills this year looking for ways to help our small businesses. So COVID, of course, will be streaming through, I think, a lot of the issues on our respective committees. In terms of racing and gaming, as everyone knows, the voters passed the sports betting referendum this past November. So this year, the subcommittee will be doing a lot of work working on that implementation legislation. With election law, this past year as well, demonstrated a lot how we were able to make a lot of changes. And I think a lot of those changes might carry forward into future years in terms of things we did to make it easier for mail-in voting, the addition of new lock boxes and such. So I expect there to be a lot there and just the continuation of enhancing voting security and beefing up cybersecurity. In the area of early education, there's been a lot of discussion this past year on childcare and with local revenues, issues with tax sales. And honestly, so many of our tax credits designed for homeowners There's a lot of overlap, but not everyone knows about every tax credit program. So I know several members have bills trying to ensure that everyone who can receive a tax credit knows about it. So before I move on at this point, I just wanted to see if any of the subcommittee chairs wanted to add anything. For every member, there is a way to, there's a raised hand feature on the Zoom. I'm hoping by now from all of the briefings we had, and we had so many this past year, and I have to say, I thought the attendance was amazing and everyone's contributions were excellent. So I'm hoping by now that everyone is familiar with that raise hand feature. I think there's a few ways to get there. I think you can go to the, I think the participant list, and I think also the more button, but if anyone's having trouble, certainly please let us know. So did any subcommittee chair want to add anything in terms of major issues for this year? I'm seeing some shaking heads. Okay. I'm sorry, I do see two things. Oh, my screen share isn't working. Aha. Is it working now with the agenda?
Madam Chair, we're seeing the folder that has the file in it, but not
the bill. It's not the thing itself.
No.
Right.
Ah. Gosh, you know, I've as with you, Delegate Lukey, I've been teaching all this past semester, and I held 45 classes, and I would have thought that this this actual page would have been up. So
it's Murphy's Law, Madam Chair.
Well, I thank you. Well, then I guess I will stop with the screen share for the moment, but I was hoping to do it even more importantly for some of the other documents that I'll be sharing today. Want to make sure that that we spend some time on the committee procedures and the staff instructions as well. Things are usually the same from year to year, but obviously because of doing so much of this online, that there has to be a lot of changes to our procedures and just trying to make this as transparent and as easy as possible for everyone. First wanted to introduce the staff. The assistant to the chair who's been with me since last year is Sarah Hartman. You've all been receiving a lot of emails from her. Thank you. Thank you to Sarah. We have two staff secretaries, staff clerk, Pat Morris and Haley Lee. You've seen them many times in helping with the hearings and making the bill folders and working on our votes. And Haley and Sarah will be taking turns hosting our hearings moving forward. We do have a receptionist this year for all the phone calls coming in, and that is Isabella Antonio. And she's at the front desk with everyone else or in the committee room. And she interned last year for Senator Hershey, so she's familiar with in-person legislative sessions. But for any of you who are coming into the office intermittently or more so when we start coming in more for voting sessions in the full House in a few weeks, we're really asking people to stay out of the committee room unless you have a meeting with me, with the vice chair, or with one of the analysts, or if you have to come meet with any of the staff. So Isabella will be doing a lot of forwarding calls and messages when you call up. So when you come in, so if you do have to come in, I think all the staff will have their masks on when they're having a meeting, but they may not have it on if they're just in their individual office. So that's why we just want to make sure we know who's coming in at all times. And so I'll break this down a few of the parts about some of the procedures and then let people stop with questions, talk a little bit about the public piece of this, and ending with some points on the voting session. I will mention one of the other documents you received in your packet was the subcommittee list. I made those subcommittees based somewhat on your preferences, always on the need for the partisan mix, based on some expertise, based on the wishes of the subcommittee chairs, based on my own wishes, based on the speaker's office. So everyone, I think, should have gotten, many people may have gotten one. I asked some people for their top 3 choices, and I think people got at least 1, if not 2 of them. So, but again, there had to be a balance. There was a heightened interest this year for the racing subcommittee, more so than other years because of the excitement of the sports betting bill. So everyone, I think, is on 2 subcommittees except for 1 member who is on 3. Delegate Washington and I are ex officio on any of the subcommittees. So more will come up on that. In terms of our committee meetings, we do have our first hearing today at 1:30. We're starting off slow for our benefit as well as for the staff's benefit to make sure we're handling all the details properly. So that bill hearing today has about 9 bills, but fewer than 20 people testifying. So we really designed it to be a really short day, kind of getting everyone back into the stream of things, but also to ensure that everything works technologically. Everything will be live streamed that we do. All of our public meetings, this meeting today, all of our hearings, all of our briefings, as well as all of the subcommittee work sessions and voting sessions. Each of the subcommittee chairs will have their own Zoom link, and that will be shared with you when they announce their subcommittee meetings, and you'll be working with them and their staff. In terms of how to deal with amendments, we're still kind of in the stay tuned process of what makes the most sense. All committee voting sessions will be announced 2 days beforehand. We're asking for the subcommittees to try to do the same, and at the very least a day beforehand have the list of bills available to everyone. So have your amendments ready, but we're probably going to have you email them to Sarah to ensure that the analysts get it, that Pat gets it for the work that she needs to do, and that all the members get it in advance. But stay tuned on that. We're still kind of working on the best way to deal with the amendments. I listened to the judiciary organizational meeting, and somebody had a question, well, what if I have an amendment to an amendment? I think in most cases, in that case, we will have to hold that bill for the next voting session. But if it's as simple as your amendment is changing the number 3 years to 2 years, or something as simple as that, I think certainly the discretion to keep moving forward if a change to somebody else's amendment is that small. But otherwise, please have your amendments in advance. As on the fact sheet, if you want a bill rescheduled, I would recommend against it highly. It's just all the work that goes into the scheduling of it. So let us know in advance if there's a day that you're unavailable, so we don't put your hearing that day. And then also changing of the bill order. That too, we really want more than a few days notice because the process is happening. People are signing up for bill hearings, for Wednesday's bill hearings on Monday. Tuesday, I will be sending out the list of that order. So at that point, we've already made a lot of decisions. A lot of things have been mailed out to people. So to change that creates a lot of challenges because we're sharing that order with the public. So come to us in advance. And I will be going through the fact sheet online, and hopefully that screen will share so people can see all that for the public and just the process of how people have to sign up. As I already mentioned, the voting packets, and then also the floor reports for those who are defending the bills, the subcommittee chairs, and ideally every member will have that opportunity. So the floor reports, that too will be emailed out to you. People may have already noticed on the bill hearing schedule that some bill hearings are sponsor only. And I just want to make sure people understand part of the reason why is that these Zoom hearings take a little bit longer. We're also very happy that it's more open and more transparent, and likely more people signing up. So wanting certainly to ensure that we're not having hearings every night until midnight. We're not the Judiciary Committee. But the types of bills that will be sponsor only will be bills that passed the House last year. So our shortened session by 19 days last year, bills passed the House, didn't make it to the Senate just because of timing. If you have introduced them identically or 99% identical, it's going to be a sponsor only hearing. If you have the need for an expert to answer questions, please reach out to me in advance and we'll make sure that can happen. But that's one person who's not testifying, who is just answering, who's available to answer questions. Senate bills that come over that are identical to House bills we've passed this session will also be sponsor only. Local bills will be sponsor only, and any late filed bills. So if any bills go to the Rules Committee and come out, I would highly recommend that. I hope people pay attention to the January 19th deadline for requesting bills. I don't remember the bill deadline date at this moment. I'm sure someone can add that to the chat, but please don't have late filed bills. Really keep things moving. So that's some of the main procedures before getting to the voting. Just wanted to see if members had any questions. Oh, and I did forget, because it happened last May, I believe it was last May that Delegate Jones was sworn in. I wasn't even thinking of her as a new member. So I apologize that she too is a new member to our subcommittee, to our committee, and of course to the House. But I was glad to be there for her swearing in back in the spring. So Delegate Jones replaced Alice Kane both on our committee and in the District 30A delegation. So welcome to you, Delegate Jones. Any questions at this point? All right. Yes, Delegate Palakovich-Carr.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Sorry, I thought I raised my hand in chat, but perhaps I didn't. Switch computers today. So a quick question about for subcommittees. Will announcements about subcommittee convenings be posted on the committee website like the full committee are, so that the public would be able to view the YouTube link?
Yes. Yes.
Great.
And each of the 6 subcommittees will have their own unique Zoom link. You will hear about the subcommittee meetings from the subcommittee chair or their offices, and it will be their staff that will be running the Zoom, and it's pretty easy to then click on to make it go onto YouTube. So while Delegate Wilkins is new to being a subcommittee chair, the other 5 subcommittee chairs and their staff have already been trained on this and are aware of this. But I'm just adding that extra point that you'll be dealing with their staff. But again, sending the amendments to one place in the office is likely what we'll be doing. Let me see if I can try the share screen again. Not sure why I was having a problem. Well, I certainly don't want that screen from Zoom. Do people see the Ways and Means page on the House of Delegates on the Maryland General Assembly webpage?
Yes.
Okay. When we're here, and this is more to the public if they're watching, but also for all of you to ensure that people that you are inviting to the committee hearings or inviting to testify are aware. On the committee page, there is a place for further information, witness guidelines, and committee facts. I'm going to click on that. And I'm hoping that document is showing up for everyone.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Pat. And part of what I want people to know is that the committees are a little bit different in other years, but this year, because of COVID and doing things differently, trying to do a lot of things very similar between all the committees about the timing and the rules and everything else. So everything should be the same. So please tell people who want to come in to testify where these rules are. And as you'll see, some of what I've already said, that everything is on Zoom, everything will be live streamed. There's the links there, and they are live links for people to click on to sign up. At this point, so it says about the MyMGA, and there's a lot of instruction here. In terms of the bills themselves, people have to sign up 2 days before a hearing. And if you see on this chart that's here, 2 days before Tuesday hearing, Tuesday hearing would be the prior Friday. 2 days before the Monday hearing is the prior Thursday. So you have to sign up between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. 2 days in advance. And the reason we are being strict about this is, again, because of how long it takes to upload all those documents, to ensure all of that is shared with all of you on the committee through your laptop, and give the committee staff time and give me time. And the scheduling will happen that next day after everyone's signed up, and then that will be on the page as well, the bill order for the hearing. We are capping, and this is for every committee as well, every committee's capping the number of witnesses per bill at 50. We've 50 in the Ways and Means Committee. And it's also the case that 50 can't be all opponents or all proponents. If that were to happen, it would stop it at 30 for either category. But again, we rarely get to 50, but this too is just a way to ensure that the hearings don't run amok. And again, this is just a limit for this year because of the way we're working on Zoom. At this point, we're telling people that it's 3 minutes per hearing, 3 minutes for witnesses, but that may be shortened to 1 or 2 minutes if we do have 20, 30 to 50 people signed up to testify. We're trying to give it just 1 hour per bill. Would want to recommend that everyone limit their questions. I would also, to keep into that timing, also to make sure that people know there is no time limit. Excuse me, there's no limit on written testimony. So that is obviously a very important piece of the legislative process. So if someone you know was unable to sign up, please ensure that they sign up for written testimony. And the bills that are sponsor only will not let people sign up, but they will be able to provide written testimony for those bills as well. Process-wise, for everyone who wants to sign up for a bill hearing, they have to sign up using the email address that they plan to essentially watch the Zoom link from, or watch the Zoom from, or the YouTube video. So you sign up with your email address, and that's the address that the committee will send a Zoom link to have people who are testifying for that day. People will be in the waiting room. So as we start the day, the people on the first bill, or maybe the first 2 bills, will be allowed into the Zoom. Everyone else can watch on YouTube. And then as the bills move forward, we will be bringing in people from the next bill and the next one and so forth. And that's part of Haley and Sarah are doing both the timekeeping and bringing witnesses in. And that's just a technology issue. We can't have everyone in the Zoom at the same time. It may be too many people. So we're bringing people in by bill. After someone has finished testifying, they stay in the Zoom until that bill is over, in case any of the members have questions for the witnesses. And of course, they can go back to the YouTube live stream. And if someone has signed up both on the 2nd bill of the day and the 5th bill, they will be exited out, but easily be able to come back in for a later bill. So we do have a phone number on here, and that is to Sarah. So if people have any questions, if witnesses, if the public have any questions about this, but I really recommend to all the members that you talk with the people that you have invited, that you want to come in and tell them about the process. I will tell everyone as I stop the sharing that there won't be panels this year. So we often have sponsor panels on bills, and that's just the case of the Zoom and the sign up not being able to deal with that. So again, some of these changes just have to be because of the process we're doing now. Before I say a little bit more about some of the voting, did anyone have any other questions about what I just said about all the public piece? All right. I don't see any hands. All right, so moving on. What I would recommend to members, and we do have our first bill hearing today at 1:30. You know, as per usual, we need a quorum to start. So if people are able to sign up, if people are able to sign in a few minutes early, that would be fantastic. I've already mentioned the raise hand feature. I think the rules of the House this year is if you are off screen is to turn off your camera. But if you are here, have your camera on, have the public see you, and definitely if you have a question, you would have to have your video on. There are recommendations that if you are leaving for the usual reasons, we all step out of a committee room for a while, you know, to put on your backgrounds. And there's different backgrounds available. You can put your name, you can put a picture, whatever that is. Again, back to the voting. We'll talk more about the voting with subcommittees, but the subcommittee chairs, again, will send their lists out in advance. Those things will be up on the website. Some committees, I think, are voting on particular days. At this point, that's not my intention. I think we'll vote as the days seem available, but again, you'll get that notice. We may end up taking a scheduled time, you know, certain days a week, but that remains to be seen. I do have to mention a few things. Typically, as most of you should know, when a bill is voted on in committee, it must be reported to the House floor within 3 days. And we have the good fortune of having both the majority leader and the House parliamentarian on our committee, if you have any questions about that. But in this case, this year, as you all know, we won't be returning to the floor likely until the week of Monday, February 8th. And if the COVID numbers get worse from this Christmas, New Year's spike, maybe that will be delayed a little bit. So we can't stop all the work we're doing. We're doing hearings. We will be voting. I wouldn't be surprised if some subcommittees start voting next week, and whether we have a voting session. Again, these will probably be the easier bills that were passed this last year. But that I believe that was part of the rule changes, Mr. Majority Leader, yesterday, that that bills will be delayed going to the floor. So I don't want anyone to have questions about that. Some people might wonder about that backup that's being involved, but it's trying to get us to do as much of the work as possible as we can these next 3.5 weeks. And then when we come back, and I think we're going to be on the floor probably, or floor or annex 2 days a week. And I think 90-minute time periods to, keep the air fresh, keep things clean. What also will be new this year on the House floor likely will be more consent calendars. So if there were bills that came out of our committee, unanimous or nearly unanimous, so 21-1, 22-0, we're probably going to put all of those on a consent calendar. So don't be surprised. And that too is just ways to keep us moving bills as fast as we can. I know a lot of people had bills stranded last year in the Senate because we ran out of time. So we're really just trying to ensure that the easy bills keep moving, and that we have more than enough time to keep things going. The parliamentarian, I will share what she just said on the chat. Committee bills will be delayed with the consent of the committee. So you can do consent now or later. So I think based on that, it seems like we should take a vote that everyone agrees that we will be delaying sending things to the floor for more than 3 days. Delegate Lutke?
Madam Chair, I was just going to add, members will have the ability to pull bills off consent calendar if they want to debate a bill individually, but I would, encourage members to use that judiciously. We're trying to keep members off the floor as much as possible because in terms of COVID spread, that's the most dangerous place for us to be. So, we're trying to limit the time we spend there.
And this by no means, and I certainly hope no one would ever think I'm trying to ever limit the voice of the minority party, and obviously bills that are split 15-7 or whatever else, those will never be on a consent calendar. So I don't want anyone to think that, or even if it's 5 or 6 people against it, but really looking at bills that have 0 or 1 people opposed, that we keep things moving. So I want to ensure people that this is not to stifle debate on bills that deserve full debate on the within committee and on the House floor. Yes, Delegate Buckle.
Madam Chair, I'm sure that you'll do this already, but I did want to only raise the concern of, from a timing consideration, when we announce that bills will be voted on, certainly the way we've done it the last few years is we have an opportunity through the, whatever you call it, leaders group, back room, whatever it is, so that we can sort of advise some of the other members as to these are the bills that are on the calendar, and they may not be familiar what happened in a different subcommittee. I know that's going to be different this year because of the remote nature of things. But I would hope that we would work towards a goal of that obviously the more time that we know in advance, these bills will be voted on. And the more time, sometimes we're in a hurry, obviously, and we leave and, kind of immediately within 5 minutes go into a voting session. That'll be difficult for those of us in the minority party to have much communication with each other virtually within that construct. So if that's something that perhaps you can factor in to how you do the voting when we get to that stage, whether it's a few weeks from now or a month from now, whatever it may be, build in a little bit more time so that all members of the committee feel like, hey, we really have had an opportunity to consider what came out of the subcommittee. There may have been amendments. What is some of the official positions or insight from other members on the merits of the bill, so that when we're voting, it goes smoothly and everyone feels like they're up to speed, so to speak.
Well, thank you, Delegate Buckle. I'm hoping that the process, by having that voting list, both for the subcommittees and for the full committee, out 2 days in advance, that there will be that timing, and the meetings you discussed of informal meetings, that some delegates may be having. I imagine that those informal meetings can still happen and that people will still be able to have those conversations. I would also welcome everyone, something that I've been sharing with Sarah about my own meetings, just not related to the committee, but related to meetings in general, that, you know, the kind of meetings where people used to find us walking down the hallway or in the elevator, or, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? I'm recommending that people call my office and tell Sarah they need me for just 3 minutes and like sign up for short phone calls. So I kind of recommend that to everyone to ensure that those short conversations where someone just wants to pass along a word or two. But Delegate Buckle, I suspect that with the 2 days warning that all that time will still be available. But if it proves not to, we'll set the time back a little bit to ensure that that you all have that time to meet.
Right. And I think that's the big thing, is just we know we're voting on X bills at X time with enough opportunity to really discuss that, and you know, may have value for all the members of the committee, but certainly for those of us as Republicans, it would help us to do that without unnecessarily attempting to delay things for other purposes.
Thank you. I'm glad you mentioned that. You reminded me about something else that I hadn't thought of this past week. There will be obviously some very big bills that are very contentious. And in those cases that the number might go up to 50, when people are signing up, that I will be working with the ranking member from our committee, Delegate April Rose, to ensure that both sides have essentially a panel first. So as I said, no panels for signing up, but to ensure that on some big tax bills or anything else that has a real partisan split, that the people in favor speak first, the 4 or 5 people, but then the next group speaking will be the 4 or 5 opposed. And I will be working with Delegate Rose, but that's probably only about on a dozen bills this session. And that's again, to ensure equal timing and making sure that those big bills get that type of, those contributions. Anything else on voting? I want to again thank everyone again, congratulating our new election law subcommittee chair, welcoming our new members, welcoming Isabella, our new staff member, remembering the key word for at least this first week and a half is patience as we work through some of these wrinkles. And if things aren't working for you, if there's a process you want to change, please reach out, please let me know. And otherwise, I guess I'll mention one more thing. You've seen the time blocks that was sent out by the Speaker's office. We're expecting that 11 to 12:30 time will be briefings these next 2 weeks, but will also be subcommittee voting session times. That 1:30 to 5:30 slot will likely be when the committee is meeting. On days that we know we have a lot of bills, we will schedule some of them for the 6:30 to 8:30 time slot, or let them run over if something has taken longer. As you've seen the time built in, that there's essentially a 1 hour break between the morning committee piece and the afternoon piece, and then a 1 hour break between the afternoon and the evening part. And that's to trying to accommodate mealtime and family responsibilities that any of us have. So, but please look at the calendar for Ways and Means to see what the briefings are, to see what the hearings are. We will not have hearings this Friday. I don't believe we have hearings scheduled next Friday either. Yeah. Delegate Stan, looking to unmute yourself.
Yeah, we do have an
Next Friday we do?
On the 22nd, we have an elections briefing from the State Board of Elections.
But not a hearing.
Correct.
So, but we will likely be having hearings on Fridays and Mondays, but at this point, we didn't have lots of pre-filed bills, though I'm expecting more bills, of course. So these first 2 Fridays, no hearings, and no hearing next Monday. But again, make sure you have all those briefings on your calendar. Any other questions on any of the issues? And otherwise we will, the consent. Delegate Wilkins?
Oh, Madam Chair, I just wanted to raise if you wanted to do the formal vote regarding.
Oh, thank you. Again, grateful to have you on our committee, Madam Parliamentarian. We have to take that vote that not about the consent calendars themselves, but I think about the 3-day, the 3-day rule. Is that correct?
Right, exactly.
Is there, and does anyone have any questions? What I already mentioned before about that we will need to delay bills going to the floor. Is there a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Second.
Who's
Sorry.
that seconding? Mr. Vice Chair, thank you. Did you have anything? Well, I'll let you add to anything later if you'd like to add. Anyone have any questions about what we're doing, why we're doing this? Again, this is just procedures to keep everyone as safe and healthy as possible. There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor, in this case, if people can raise their physical hand, maybe, if all in favor of this change, and then any opposed? I just want to make sure, I don't see any hands up for opposed. I just want to make sure I'm not missing that. All right, thank you all very much. Thank you Delegate Wilkins. And Delegate Washington, any parting words for our fine committee?
No, just want to say welcome to all of our new members to our committee. You are in the esteemed Ways and Means Committee, which is the best committee in the House, and in my opinion, in the General Assembly. Number one. So happy to have you with us, and to our more senior members, happy to have you all back. Again, I'll just reiterate what the chair said, which is please be patient with us as we're all going through this, because we're all learning as we go. But I think we'll figure it out hopefully by next week or week 3. but it's going to take us some time. So thank you, everybody, and good to see everyone.
And as people are speaking up on the chat, I would tell you that the chat is for public record. The chat feature will not be available during the hearings. If you need to reach out to me, any member, I have my cell phone. I think all members have my cell phone number. If you need to reach other members, there's always email. There's always the instant messaging through the General Assembly site. So just want to say that the chat feature won't be available in the Zoom. And if there's no other questions, I'll see you all at 1:30 for the hearing. All right.